Welcome to In the Zone with Anthony. It's been a while. Of course, lots have been going on, and when I tell you a lot has been going on, so much has been going on, it makes you wonder where to start at. A story that has made the headlines, and I guess you can call it Blindside Part 2 if you want to. I know y'all remember the story of Michael Oher. Well, he went on record as to say that basically he was exploited for his name, image, and likeness. Some of the things that has been said was that he really didn't get fully compensated off of the movie about his life, and that he wasn't adopted, but he was in a conservatorship, and there's a difference between the two. I'm not going to get into the legal ramifications, but there is a difference between that. But the Touhys family plans to end the conservatorship of Michael Oher after the Blindside star files a lawsuit. Sean and Leanne Touhys plan to end their conservatorship of former NFL offensive lineman and Ole Miss All-American Michael Oher. Attorneys representing the couple announced Wednesday. Oher, whose story is depicted in the 2009 film The Blind Side, alleged the Touhys family never legally adopted him as portrayed in the film and only entered a conservatorship in an attempt to profit off him, though attorneys contend Oher received the same share of profits from the film as other members of the Touhys household. Oher's lawsuit, which was obtained by ESPN, claims the Touhys entered Oher into a conservatorship while presenting it to be the same process as legal adoption. The lawsuit demanded an end to Touhys' conservatorship of Oher, which has been in place since 2004, just months after his 18th birthday. Entering Oher into a conservatorship allowed the Touhys to oversee Oher's financial life and enter into legal deals without his consent, though Oher was not a legal member of the family. In the case of The Blind Side, the award-winning film grossed more than $300 million and earned actress Sandra Bullock an Oscar for her portrayal of Leanne Touhys. Michael Oher discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship, to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Touhys family, in fact provided him no familial relationship with the Touhys. The legal filing read, in wake of the lawsuit, the Touhys and their legal team called accusations against the family hurtful and absurd. Attorneys for the family said Wednesday the $500,000 in proceeds from the film was split evenly among all 5 Touhys family members, or included, at $100,000 per person. In reality, the Touhys opened their home to Mr. Oher, offered him structure, support, and most of all, unconditional love, Martin Singer, an attorney representing the Touhys, said in a statement. They have consistently treated him like a son and one of their 3 children. His response was to threaten them, including saying that he would plant a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. They insisted that any money received be divided equally, and they have made good on that pledge, Singer continued. Evidence documented in profit participation checks and studio accounting statements is clear. Over the years, the Touhys have given Mr. Oher an equal cut of every penny received from The Blind Side. Even recently, when Mr. Oher started to threaten them about what he would do unless they paid him an 8-figure windfall, and as part of that shakedown effort refused to cash the small profit checks from Touhys, they still deposited Mr. Oher's equal share into a trust account they set up for his son. Oher attended Bible Crest Christian School, where he was coached by current Auburn coach Hugh Freeze, before later signing with Ole Miss and eventually reaching the NFL. His pro career lasted from 2009 through 16, in which he started 110 games and won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, during the 2012 season. So that's been an ongoing story which has had plenty of twists and turns to it, to say the least. So that's how we start things off within the zone. Well, what else is there for us in the zone? Trust me, there's always something going on in the zone. Even when we haven't been around for a minute, there's always something in the zone. As we look further into what is shaping the landscape of college sports, such as the what you call this thing realignment, just saying that word enough makes me dizzy because there's too many moving parts. I mean, there is stuff that is moving around like a spinning top. As a kid, you used to spin those little tops and it didn't matter. It was always fascinating. However, it's no fun because no sooner as you figure out one team that moved here and one team that moved there, next thing you know, another team is moving and another team is moving. And they moving here and they moving there. When is the moving going to stop? How is it affecting this sports? How is it affecting the next sports? Well, let me talk about the local scene. As Wichita State Athletic Director Kevin Saul says that he is very reactive, or is prepared and proactive as conference realignment heats up with the AAC. So the landscape of college sports again experienced a dramatic shift earlier this month, and the American Athletic Conference could be affected. Conference realignment is once again a hot topic after 5 more schools from the Pac-12 announced their departures in early August. Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah will join the Big 12, while Oregon and Washington are set to join the Big 10 in 2024. That leaves the Pac-12 conference with just 4 schools: California, Oregon State, Stanford, and Washington State. The AAC is reportedly interested in providing a new home for a combination or all 4 of the remaining Pac-12 teams, but there remains a possibility that the Pac-12 teams try to poach a handful of the top AAC schools to reload. What happens next could very well have an impact on the future of the American Athletic Conference and Wichita State Athletics as well. It's a situation WSU Athletic Director Kevin Saul said he is constantly watching. I hope he has 20/20 vision. It's a good pair of glasses, because the way this thing is going, he's going to most definitely need them. And constantly keeping in contact with fellow AAC athletic directors and the conference office staff, just to get a really good sense of where it's headed, so we can be prepared and proactive, because nobody wants to be reactive in these situations, Saul said on Tuesday. We want to make sure our institution is positioned in the best possible spot. WSU was involved in its own chapter of conference realignment in 2017 when it left the Missouri Valley Conference to join the American Athletic Conference. The AAC has experienced its own dramatic changes in the 6 years since WSU joined, as Connecticut departed for the Big East, and Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF just left for the Big 12, with the conference replenishing its ranks with Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA from Conference USA. Saul reiterated WSU's support for the American on Tuesday. First and foremost, we're in the right place, Saul said. We have a commissioner in Commissioner Mike Oher, who is bold and aggressive and has proven that. He's got great relationships with TV partners, and he's included all of the current AAC membership in all those discussions and kept us updated and informed. The conference office staff has been first class, and they've handled things really, really well. Football is almost always the driving force behind conference realignments, which could leave WSU, without a football program since 1986, in a somewhat awkward position. A portion of the fan base would like to see the Shockers pursue joining a basketball-centric conference like the Big East or Atlantic 10 if the AAC faces another upheaval. But there's a good chance the American is either unaffected or positively affected by the next dominoes to fall in the conference realignment game. Regardless of the outcome, Saul plans to have Wichita State prepared for what's next. It's difficult to predict where it's going to go, Saul said. I think if you were to ask the Pac-12 membership 2 weeks ago, they would have felt pretty solid with where they were. Things can change in a matter of 24 hours. You got that right. I mean, he nailed that statement right there. Nailed it on the head right there. And with that, hopefully I have already reached out to Kevin Saul, so hopefully one day I will get him on for another interview. He was a great interview the first time I had him on, so I look forward to a second interview with him. But what I'm going to do right now, I am going to take a break, and when I come back, I'm going to use a term I haven't used. When I come back, I am going to reload and get you set up for some more of In the Zone. You're listening to In the Zone with Anthony. I'll be right back. Don't you go nowhere. Welcome back to In the Zone. As we look at some more football talk, as there has been a couple of free agent signings recently. One is Dalvin Cook to the New York Jets, and the other one, Ezekiel Elliott to the Patriots. But how about this headline? Patriots rivals not laughing anymore after seeing Ezekiel Elliott's contract details. Even though Ezekiel Elliott was only technically signed by the Patriots on Wednesday, all conversations surrounding him and the signing have dominated all New England media for what has felt like weeks. When the signing was initially reported, details were sparse, but it showed Elliott's deal was worth up to $6 million, which was quickly labeled to be too much money for a washed-up running back. Rival fan, wait a minute. Did they just say washed-up running back? Ow. Wait a minute. That can't be right. Let me see this again. When the signing was initially reported, details were sparse, but it showed Elliott's deal was worth up to $6 million, which was quickly labeled to be too much for a washed-up running back. I don't think he's washed up. I mean, yes, he only had 800-plus yards last year, but he was always a threat in the red zone. You need the proof? He still managed 12 touchdowns scored on the ground. That's why come he's in New England.
I mean, I know some people are still wondering what happened to the Ezekiel Elliott, had that quick burst, would hurdle you like he was a track star. What happened to that Zeke? Well, there's a guy named TP, Tony Pollard.
And I'm still coming to Zeke's defense. Zeke was not that alpha male who was pouting because someone was taking touches from him. Zeke was still the ultimate team player. Zeke was a locker room guy. I don't care what nobody say. Zeke did not cause no dissension. Zeke even went on record and said, you know what, I want to be a Cowboy for the rest of my life. I'll take a pay cut as long as Tony Pollard gets paid. I bet you can't say the same thing about a Le'Veon Bell, can you? Found out sitting out for a year pretty much cost him his career because he wasn't the same since. At least Zeke ain't got to sit out for no year, and I think he fits perfectly with Bill Belichick's scheme because they're not going to be one of those throw it 50 times, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns in the game. No. Bill Belichick is still enough old school. He was going to play ground and pound. Anyway, so much for my rant there. Rival fans in the AFC East, specifically the Bills, began to celebrate the signing as a win for Buffalo since their running back room was making less than Elliott's contract combined. Now that all of his contract specifics have been revealed, it's apparent that Bill Belichick accomplished a real team-friendly deal with Elliott that's certainly nothing for foes to be celebrating. The Patriots look like the real winners in this situation. Elliott and Ramondre Stevenson have the potential to be the best running back duo in the division and the league. That's not something to be scoffed at just because many have adopted the never pay a running back mentality in recent years. That may be an aspect that comes back to haunt the Bills as they attempt to adopt a new offensive identity this season with a less mobile quarterback. Relying on the run game would be an optimal choice to avoid having Josh Allen instinctively run with the football. However, their current running back room is quite an unremarkable bunch, which consists of James Cook, Damian Harris, and Latavius Murray. Right. That right there. Maybe instead of celebrating under the assumption that a player was paid too much given where he is in his career, your team's general manager should have spent more on game-changing running backs that your team has needed for many years. But the real test will come once the regular season begins in less than 4 weeks. It seems safe to say the Patriots' backs will be the superior group in the division, and hopefully Elliott will look and earn every bit of his contract as he helps the offense get back into a groove. So, Ezekiel Elliott's 2023 cap number is $2.9 million. If active for all 17 games, it will increase to $3 million. Any earned incentives will hit the 2024 cap. So that's how Ezekiel Elliott's contract is looking with the Patriots. Well, Skip Bayless, y'all know that guy. I've talked about him to local talk show hosts. Reportedly refused to work with one Fox Sports talent. My question is, how many people have refused to work with Skip Bayless? I put it out there, give me $150,000 a year. I'll go work with Skip Bayless. That would be a significant pay raise for me. Anyway, Skip Bayless's partnership with NFL legend Shannon Sharpe ended abruptly. Sharpe agreed to a contract buyout to terminate his relationship with Fox Sports, immediately following a string of controversies and back and forth with his co-host. Notably, it seems like the network struggled to find a replacement to take Sharpe's spot on Undisputed, as it took them a while before announcing Richard Sherman. Yeah, I can't wait to see how that turns out. You know, they've had some serious beef. And Rachel Nichols as the new co-host, as well as a segment featuring rapper Lil Wayne. Needless to say, both announcements were far from exciting, and some people believe this could be the end of the once popular debate show. This could have been a lot different, as the network could have paired Skip with Nick Wright. However, according to a report by Michael McCarthy of Front Office Sports via NBA Central, Bayless refused to work with Wright because he didn't want to work with anyone who could make him look bad. Well, nobody need to make Skip Bayless look bad, in my opinion, because sometimes he does a good job of doing that on his own. Wouldn't you agree? Anyway, Skip Bayless reportedly refuses to work with Nick Wright per at M. McCarthy REV. Skip doesn't want to work with Nick Wright, answered the source. Skip doesn't want to work with anybody who will make him look bad, and Nick would diswomble him on the air. Truth be told, Wright and Bayless seem similar, although they're often on the opposite ends of the spectrum in regards to subjects like LeBron James, for example. Wright would have gone at full steam to try to defend James, just like Sharp did, from Bayless's constant and uncalled for attacks, and he actually has a pretty similar debate style. But there have been multiple reports about Bayless not wanting to share the spotlight with anyone else, regardless of the countless times he's gotten into trouble for his often hot takes and comments. So, who can work for Skip Bayless that wouldn't make him look bad? Anyway, in the landscape of people getting laid off, a report that came out a while back came from Stephen A. Smith. Y'all know, this is Stephen A. Smith. Anyway, he had a word for laid off ESPN colleagues. So this came out a month or so ago. So I'm reading it as it came out. It says last Friday was an infamous day for some renowned members of the NBA broadcast community. As a part of their third wave of layoffs, ESPN fired as many as 20 on-air personalities, including the likes of Jalen Rose, Max Kellerman, and even Jeff Van Gundy. The premise was to let go of most of the people making $1 million plus, as Disney's ESPN's parent company looked to eliminate at least 7,000 jobs. Unsurprisingly, Stephen A. Smith was safe, but that doesn't mean he was satisfied with the way things went down in his workplace. That's why he took to his podcast to call the company out, stating that his workmates deserved better, and even wondered whether he would be next in line to be let go.
ESPN laid off about 20 members of its on-air talent. Friends of mine, actually. Definitely respected colleagues who've done a phenomenal job and deserved better. They deserved better than the times we're living in. To see Jalen Rose gone, my brother, got a lot of love for that brother. A lot of the great work he's done over the years, what he's represented for the company. He is a brilliant, brilliant basketball mind. He is somebody that worked his ass off all the time. Jeff Van Gundy's another outstanding, brilliant basketball analyst for ESPN for years. I could say I'm going to miss him, but I just can't imagine he's going to be out of work for long. I'm sure I'll see him on the air doing his thing. Jeff Van Gundy's been a Hall of Fame analyst and commentator. Neil Everett from SportsCenter. Ashley Brewer from SportsCenter. My brother Keyshawn Johnson, my brother. We've been friends for over 20 years. I'm sad to see him go. What he's done for my life, just being a big brother and a friend of me, I love him to death. David Pollack, outstanding college football analyst, love him. Todd McShay, college football analyst extraordinaire, especially for the NFL draft. And I don't want to mention everybody because I don't want to forget anybody's name. But those names certainly come to mind.
So Stephen A. had a whole lot to say. And he actually had something to say. Because there is a narrative that goes like this. Wise people, when they speak, have something to say. Foolish people, when they speak, they just have to say something. Well, he just spoke a lot of words of wisdom, and he had something to say. Anyway, imagine Stephen A. going back to Fox, which we know that's not going to happen. Besides, I'm pretty sure the public wouldn't want to see round 2 of Stephen A. and Skip Bayless. But what do you think about Skip Bayless and Richard Sherman? You know, in wrestling terms, we know they've had some heat with each other. The question is, how long would it be before Richard Sherman jumps across the desk and want to put his hands around the neck of one Skip Bayless? Y'all remember that basketball player, Latrell Sprewell? I sure hope Skip Bayless know what he's doing by adding him to the mix, because that could be a very combustible scene. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. No way. No. But hey, that's Skip Bayless. Like I say, he's worried about someone making him look bad. Like I said, nobody has to make him look bad. He does a good job of that on his own sometimes. He is the only guy, well, there's several, but he's one of the only ones I know that says some boneheaded, stupid things, sticks his foot in his mouth, and yet still they let this sometimes moron have his spot. Fox Sports, what are y'all doing? Anyway, I'm going to take another break right here. When I come back, I'm going to wrap this up. But I hope you are enjoying being in the zone as much as I'm enjoying being in the zone with you all. Stay tuned. I'll be back to wrap things up. In the Zone with Anthony. Don't you go nowhere. Welcome back to In the Zone, and I am so elated that you are here with me. Hope you are enjoying this podcast as I get this information out to you. Seems like I'm kind of going heavy on football. Well, the football season is right around the corner, so why not? Anyway, I already alluded to you about the Ezekiel Elliott signing. So here's the Dalvin Cook free agency saga closes after inking a deal with the Jets. Shortly after the Patriots reached a deal with Ezekiel Elliott, the Jets will finalize an agreement with their long-rumored target. Dalvin Cook agreed to a one-year deal with the Jets on Monday.
Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport of the NFL.com report. This wraps a long-running saga for Cook, who has been a free agent for several weeks now. The Jets had loomed as a Cook suitor for most of this span, and while the former Vikings Pro Bowler had been closely connected to his hometown Dolphins, the Jets were the only team to bring him in for a visit. That meeting has eventually produced a deal. The contract will be worth a maximum of $8.6 million. NFL.com's Mike Garofalo tweets, in terms of base value, Pro Football Talks' Mike Florio adds, this agreement will be worth $7 million. Midway through the Jets' preseason slate, Cook will sign on with the rising team. Aaron Rodgers' pay cut agreement will lead to a high-profile weapon sign-on, with the Jets securing an elite Breece Hall insurance option. While the Dolphins had talked terms with Cook, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN.com adds, they were never on this level. The Vikings will also benefit with a $2 million offset in place per ESPN.com's Kevin Seifert. Despite not having a locked-in starter option on Hall's level, the Dolphins had viewed Cook as a luxury. Mike McDaniel's team will stand pat with this re-signed duo of Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, along with third-round rookie Devon Achane. The chance to face the Bills twice was also important to the veteran per Fowler, with younger brother James Cook set to start for three-time defending division champions. All right, there we have it. Brother versus brother. Is this going to be like the Usos? Oh, that's a wrestling reference. Anyway, the Jets have been bullish on Hall's chances of returning by week 1. The 2022 second rounder suffered an ACL tear during the Jets' week 7 win against the Broncos. Cook's arrival will allow the Jets to slow play Hall's return, and it is also worth wondering what kind of rotation will commence during the Iowa State product's first season back from the injury. Cook's contract points to a regular role as opposed to a change of pace backup in his 7th NFL season. Cook's deal represents a rare 2023 win for backs, coming after countless setbacks for the running back market. Cook securing $7 million guaranteed provides him with a parachute after the Vikings cut bait on his $12.6 million per year deal. Prior to Monday, none of this year's free agent backs secured more than $6.3 million per year. While Miles Sanders did see more guaranteed on a 4-year Panthers agreement, the Jets are giving Cook upper middle class money on a 1-year accord to help their 2023 Super Bowl push. The Patriots gave Elliott $4 million guaranteed, which is also more than a few starter caliber backs, including Mostert and Wilson, received this year. Neither Mostert nor Wilson landed $3 million locked in, but the Jets placed a high value on Cook, who would leapfrog the likes of Zonovan Knight and Michael Carter upon signing. Going into this age 28 season, Cook is riding the NFL's only active streak of 4 straight 1,100-yard rushing slates. The Vikings viewed the explosive back's contract, which had been agreed to just before the 2020 season, as a luxury they could no longer afford. Minnesota instead re-signed Alexander Mattison to a 2-year, $7 million deal that is almost entirely guaranteed. As the Vikings joined other NFL teams in skimping on running back costs, the Jets now have one of this era's better backs, supplementing a recent second rounder. Cook helped the Vikings to 2 playoff berths in this span, giving Kirk Cousins an upper crust option on which to lean. Rodgers had a strong running back duo in recent years as well, with A.J. Dillon joining Aaron Jones over the past 3 seasons. Should Hall regain his rookie year form at some point in 2023, Rodgers will once again have a top-end running back duo in place. The Jets have some questions up front, but Cook loads up a skill position core that also features offensive rookie of the year Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Nicole Hartman, and Corey Davis. Once a rumored cap casualty, Davis remains with the Jets on the 3-year deal he signed in 2021. The Jets turned the Quinnen Williams decision into cap space, with Rodgers agreeing to trim his guaranteed money in order to help fit in vets like Cook. The Jets would still have the option of placing Hall on the reserve PUP list, which would allow him an on-ramp into his second season. That would be a bit of a surprise, though, even considering Cook's $7 million payment. But after a highly publicized free agency stay, Cook has joined an expected contender and will have a chance to make an impact alongside Rodgers.
Well, this has been another edition of In the Zone, which I hope you have enjoyed. I'm getting ready to check on out of here. But feel free to tell me what you think about the content. Hope you enjoyed it, because there will be more to come. I will probably touch upon some of this conference realignment and what does it mean. I mean, you got a little bit of taste of it, how it may affect Wichita State, especially when it comes to basketball. But we know what this alignment is all about. It's all about the football. It's all about the dollars. And I even heard someone on talk radio as I was coming home saying that the money is there. It's just that the university don't want it. Maybe somewhere down the future. I'm just throwing it out there as a bone for you guys to nibble on. Anyway, Anthony Smith in the Zone. I'm out. You have a wonderful rest of your week.